All right, today we're diving into something that's totally changing the game for businesses, how AI is flipping data analytics on its head. We're talking about a massive shift from just looking back at what happened to actually figuring out what's going to happen next. So I want you to think for a second about the dashboards you look at for work. You know the ones. What are they really telling you? Are they just a recap of last quarter's sales? Or are they actually giving you a clue about what's coming around the bend next week? That difference? Well, it's everything. And that really gets to the heart of it, which this quote from data expert Bill Schmarzo just nails. On its own, data has zero value. Think about that. Piles and piles of spreadsheets full of numbers, pretty much worthless. The real magic, the real gold, is in the stories and the patterns that are hidden deep inside all that data. Okay, so this brings us to a huge problem that, honestly, most companies are facing right now. We are absolutely drowning in data. I mean, we have more information than we've ever had in history, but we're trying to make sense of it all using tools that are basically just a rearview mirror.
And yeah, this is the classic situation, right? Your traditional BI tools, they're not bad. They're actually great at telling you what's already happened. The problem is, they're slow, they're rigid. It's kind of like trying to drive down a highway at full speed while only looking in the rearview mirror. It tells you where you've been, for sure, but it gives you absolutely no idea where you should go next.
But this is exactly where AI steps in and throws us a lifeline. Seriously, it's the one thing that completely shifts the conversation. We stop asking, so what happened last month? And we start asking, okay, what's going to happen next? And just like that, analytics isn't just a history report anymore. It's your game plan for the future. So what are we even talking about when we say AI data analytics? Well, in a nutshell, it's about using machine learning and AI to handle all the tedious grunt work. You know, the processing, the sorting, the cleaning of data. And what that does is it frees up your actual human experts to focus on what humans are amazing at, thinking big picture, strategy, and solving the really tricky problems. And honestly, the business case for this is a total no-brainer. When you automate all those boring, repetitive tasks, you're not just optimizing resources, you're saving your analysts from burnout. AI can chew through massive amounts of data without breaking a sweat, which means costs go down. But way more importantly, it means you get to make smarter decisions faster. It's really about future-proofing your whole team. And look, the proof is in the pudding. Research from Accenture found that companies that really lean into being data-driven, they see their revenue grow 10 to 15% faster than everyone else. That's not just a small bump. That is a huge competitive edge. A huge piece of that advantage comes from something called predictive analytics. So instead of just reporting on things that already happened, AI looks at all your historical data to predict what's coming next. Imagine being able to predict which customers are about to cancel their subscription or what the demand will be for a product you haven't even launched yet. It lets you get ahead of the curve. You become proactive instead of just being reactive all the time. And another game changer here is how AI is making data available to, well, everyone, through something called natural language processing, or NLP. What this means is that anyone in the company, from sales to marketing to the CEO, can just ask questions about the data in plain English. No more filing a ticket and waiting 2 weeks for a data scientist to write some complicated code. You just ask. Okay, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. With all this incredible power comes some pretty big risks. We have to talk about the black box problem in AI and the very real dangers of bias and, just not knowing how these things work. This image here really gets to the heart of the issue. A lot of AI models can feel like a black box. You pour data in one end, and that data might already have all sorts of historical biases baked into it, and a decision pops out the other end. The problem? The logic happening inside that box can be totally hidden from us. And if you can't see the reasoning, how can you possibly trust the result? How do you know it's fair? So where does all this bias even come from? Well, it can sneak in from a bunch of different places. Sometimes it's just a statistical thing in the data. Other times it's the social or cognitive biases of the very people building the models. But you know what the most common source is? It's the historical data itself. The AI is learning from a world that was, with all of its existing inequalities and imperfections baked right in. And this leads to a really fundamental tension when you're designing an AI system. It's a trade-off. On one hand, you want maximum performance. You want the most accurate predictions possible, which often means using those super complex black box models. But on the other hand, you need interpretability. You need to understand how the model is making its decisions. And that means prioritizing transparency, even if it costs you a fraction of a percent in pure accuracy. So, what's the solution here? How do we fix this? Well, the only way forward is through responsible innovation. It means taking a really structured, ethical approach to how we build and use these things. It's about designing and building trust right into the technology from day one. A solid ethical AI framework isn't just a bunch of nice-sounding words on a poster, like transparency or fairness. As you can see here, it's about making those ideas real. You have to support them with concrete things like how the tech is actually designed, having crystal clear documentation, and really importantly, strong governance. And the good news is you can actually be proactive about making AI fair. There are really 3 key points where you can intervene. First is what's called pre-processing. That's where you go in and try to fix the bias in the training data before the model ever sees it. Then there's in-processing. This is where you actually build fairness rules right into the model while it's learning. And finally, there's post-processing, where you can tweak the model's final answers to make sure the outcomes are fair for everyone. But here's the thing. You can't just code your way out of this problem. Technology alone is not the answer. To build AI we can actually trust, you need a solid structure within your organization. You need leaders at the top setting the right tone, you need an ethics committee with people from all different departments, and you need clear processes for review. At the end of the day, it all comes down to human oversight. Okay, so we've talked about the challenges and solutions we're dealing with right now. Let's switch gears and look ahead. Let's talk about the future. Because the next big leap in data analytics isn't just about getting smarter insights. Nope. It's about AI starting to act on those insights. And this comparison here just lays it out perfectly. Today, when we talk about real-time analytics, we're usually talking about systems that inform a person. They show you a dashboard of what's happening right now so a human can make a decision. The future, though, is real-time AI. And that's where the AI doesn't just show you the problem, it automates the decision about what to do next. The AI takes the action all by itself. This new frontier has a name, agentic AI. We're talking about a much more advanced kind of AI system, one that can plan, make its own decisions, and take action all on its own as things happen in the real world without a human having to sign off on every little thing. It is a massive shift from just reacting to data to proactively and automatically taking action. And of course, it goes without saying, once AI starts doing things on its own, our need to trust it goes through the roof. Which is exactly why this whole field of explainable AI, or XAI for short, is absolutely exploding right now. These are all tools designed with one single goal, to crack open that black box and finally show us the why behind an AI's decisions. So that really leaves us with the big, critical question for the next decade, doesn't it? As these AI systems go from just analyzing our world to actively making changes in it, how are we going to build the right guardrails, the right rules, the right level of trust? How do we make absolutely sure that they're always, always acting in our best interest?